This case takes place in the USA in December of 2021. Patricia Birmingham was a 48-year-old woman who lived in Texas. She was born on the 11th of December 1972 in Orlando, Florida. From a young age, it was clear that Patricia was incredibly intelligent. During her school years, she worked to achieve the highest grades possible, and she excelled academically. She engaged in various extracurricular activities and joined the Girl Scouts, excelling in this too. In fact, during her time in the Scouts, she won an award for being the top salesperson, breaking records when they sold baked goods. She would later utilize these natural selling skills when she got a little bit older. After finishing high school, Patricia decided to pursue a career in the medical field. She wanted to help people, and this was one of her biggest passions in life. She studied hard to become a cardiovascular technologist. When she graduated, she worked for a hospital in Savannah, Georgia, where she became the first certified cardiovascular technologist. She would later move to Texas to continue her education, and at some point, Patricia met a man by the name of Carey. The two got married and had a child together named Olivia. Carey had 2 children to a previous relationship. Patricia was happy to take them on as her stepchildren, and by all accounts, she got along with them very well. Patricia was able to achieve a BA in Business Administration from LaTourneau University in 2003, and she was able to do this whilst working at the hospital, a rather remarkable achievement. The family then moved from Dallas to Houston, but the COVID period caused some issues with her career. So, she changed career paths and became an estate agent, and it wouldn't take long for her to become one of the top real estate agents in the Houston area. But with all of this success, Patricia did have some issues in her personal life, and was harboring a secret. She was having an affair behind her husband's back. In 2021, Carey would learn the truth, and a truly horrific argument would erupt, leading to what many have described as one of the most shocking cases they have ever seen. At around this point, Patricia was 48 years old, and her husband Carey was 60. In December, some friends of the couple came over to visit for a few days. During this time, one of the friends spoke with Carey. They told him what was happening behind his back, that his wife was having an affair with another man who lived in a different country, and that she was planning to leave to be with him, and that she would be taking their daughter with her. Now, of course, Carey was deeply upset and incredibly angry. This revelation came as somewhat of a shock to him. After learning this, Carey kept quiet. It wouldn't be until the following morning that he would confront his wife, telling her that he knew everything that she was hiding from him. Upon being confronted, Patricia came clean and told Carey that she had been unfaithful. A violent argument erupted, so Patricia pulled out her mobile phone and began to audio record the argument. The couple began to shout and swear and exchange all manner of insults. According to those who would later hear the audio recordings of the argument, the couple pretty much said every single one of the worst insults you could possibly imagine to each other. But during the exchange, Patricia began to tell Carey that she was fed up with him due to his inability to perform sexually and his ability to provide financially. This caused Carey to become even more enraged than he previously was. So, he went and fetched his shotgun. At this point, the argument had lasted for over 30 minutes and was getting more and more heated with every passing minute. Patricia then used her mobile phone to capture this horrifying footage that I will now show you. You really want this on video? Blood. Man that has blood. The Bobberies. Sit up. You don't need Jesus. Carey can be heard telling his wife, "Alright, goodbye. You're going to meet Jesus. I hope it was worth it," before firing his weapon. Carey fired the shotgun 3 times. Every single round was fired at close range into Patricia's face. The scene would have been truly horrific. Neighbors who heard the commotion and of course heard the weapon being fired a number of times contacted the police, and they soon arrived on the scene. Carey surrendered himself to the police and he was arrested. Their couple's daughter Olivia was at school at the time. She was told the news that her mother had been killed and that her father was the killer. With such overwhelming evidence, Carey was charged with the murder of his wife, and he was assigned some lawyers. These lawyers advised Carey that he had no choice in the matter. He was going to jail. They advised Carey, telling him that it wasn't if he goes to prison, but for how long he would go to prison for. They told him he needed to confess and plead guilty to the murder, to which he did. This may sound strange, but sometimes killers, even with overwhelming evidence, plead not guilty. This then often leads them to getting longer sentences and harsher punishments. So Carey went along with the lawyer's advice, as they believed they would be able to get him a reduced sentence. Tragically, while he awaited his trial, his son took his own life. The trial would soon begin with an all-female jury, something that is rather rare. The footage was shown to the court, which undoubtedly showed that Carey was guilty of a brutal murder. But then, lawyers working for Carey got to work. They put forward the case in a way which convinced the jury that Carey acted in a moment of passion, and that the murder was not premeditated. They highlighted Patricia's unfaithfulness, and played the recordings where she insulted him in a number of ways, explaining that these statements and comments about his performance in the bedroom would be enough to enrage most men, especially after finding out that their partner had cheated. His defense team also highlighted that Carey had never been physically abusive to Patricia before the murder, and did not have a violent past. Their daughter Olivia also testified that she never witnessed her father physically abuse her mother. This led the jury to believe that the murder was the result of sudden passion arising from an adequate cause. The lawyers were hoping that Carey would get around 20 years in prison, but before the jury went and deliberated, the lawyers asked them to consider a lesser sentence of around 10 years due to the element of passion. Now, it's not exactly common for a victim to film their own murder, especially with their killer in full view of the camera, telling the victim exactly what they're going to do. So with that in mind, what sentence would you give a man who had just killed his wife in such a brutal manner? 20 years? 40 years? Life without parole? Well, this may leave you rather perplexed, and maybe even angry. Carey was sentenced to 10 years in prison. 10 years. And if that wasn't shocking enough, he could be out in as little as 5 years. Though this is highly unlikely and probably won't happen, but it is still entirely possible. When speaking to the media, Carey's lawyer said, "We never try to justify the actions of our client, but the defense wasn't about justification, it was about why he did what he did." In a post on social media, Patricia's sister said, "My sister was strong and would not back down or show any fear to this man. The prosecutors did an outstanding job, and were just as shocked with the verdict as we were. I believe the judge was also even shocked. Justice was not given here. My sister did not deserve this. Carey Birmingham is not the victim." When speaking on her father's sentencing, Olivia said, "I lost both of my parents that day. My dad died that day too, because the person who did that to my mom isn't the same person." She even addressed her father in the courtroom, telling him, "No matter what you said in this trial, you know what type of woman she was, and you know what you did, and you took away my favorite person in this world." There are some rumors surrounding this case that I just couldn't verify. While researching, I stumbled upon some forums and comment sections, mainly to get the general feel for how people viewed the case, and whose side they were on. And whilst I did this, I saw many commenters saying that Patricia had also stolen around $120,000 of Carey's money, and given it to this man that she was having an affair with. Now, this could be true. I tried my best to verify it, but it seems like it's just a rumor. Until more information comes out about this case, it's hard to tell. But I thought I'd mention it just in case some of you looked into the case yourself and saw people making this claim. The case of Patricia is without a doubt one of the more shocking cases I have ever seen. It is incredibly tragic, and I can't even imagine what it must be like to lose a parent in such a way. The case has also divided many, with some feeling sympathy for Carey. They don't condone his actions, but they have said they understand why he did what he did. Many others believe that this is one of the biggest injustices in American legal history, believing that Carey should spend the rest of his life behind bars for what he did.